The first day of your cruise sets a tone for your entire vacation. Sadly, we see many cruisers still going about this first day of the cruise all wrong. Don't worry, we're here to help. We have our expert tips and tricks to make your cruise boarding day a breeze and put you one step ahead of everyone else on the ship. Up next. Welcome aboard, cruisers, and a special welcome back to our Eat Sleep Cruise subscribers. Whether you're new to cruising or you've been cruising for a while, the first day of your cruise is perhaps the most important day of your entire trip. And after watching this video, you'll know all our tips and tricks for cruise boarding day that we've learned from over 60 sailings with 14 different cruise lines. Now, one thing many cruisers are still getting wrong is that they're not downloading the Cruise Lines app. Cruise Lines app is essential to making your cruise boarding day as seamless as possible. Now, you're not going to want to download the Cruise Lines app when you get to your terminal. In fact, you're going to want to download your Cruise Lines app months in advance. Once you have the app, you can link your reservation. From there, cruisers can review the scheduled daily activities, ship deck plans, and you can even book add-ons pre-cruise. Some of these additional add-ons include shore excursions, drink packages, and specialty dining. Of course, you can do all that on desktop. But there's an even more important reason to have the Cruise Lines app, and that's completing your online check-in. Sadly, not enough cruisers are completing the online check-in at the right time. You're going to want to book that online check-in as soon as possible. Typically, you can complete the cruise check-in in about 30 to 45 days prior to the cruise boarding day. Using the app lets you skip a lot of the paperwork and the lines once at the terminal. Completing this step as soon as it's available also gets you a preferred port arrival time, and this is huge. The sooner you check in, the earlier you can arrive at the port, and the quicker you can start your vacation. Now, Heidi and I are planners, and we think you should be too. So to make cruise boarding day more relaxing and enjoyable, we suggest you make all your onboard purchases before you even step foot on the ship. Some of these additional costs include shore excursions, specialty dining, and other packages like drink packages. Unfortunately, we still see tons of cruisers on embarkation day roaming the promenade trying to purchase some of these add-ons. Booking before your trip will definitely save you time, and most often it will also save you money. Cruise lines usually discount these purchases to encourage cruisers to buy them ahead of the voyage. We always recommend to keep an eye on your cruise planner, as well as your email. And if you see a deal or a sale, take advantage of the lower rates. Also, some cruise lines and ships require cruisers to book entertainment ahead of time. This is usually for larger ships with the contemporary or mainstream cruise lines. But if you can book your entertainment ahead of time, make sure to do that before you get on board as well. Likewise, if you have flexible dining, sometimes referred to as My Time Dining or Dine My Way or Anytime Dining, many cruise lines let you reserve dining slots for the main dining room pre-cruise. We always make at least a few reservations for a couple nights, especially the first night of the cruise. Let's be honest, the first day of the cruise is very chaotic. And don't be surprised if there's a large line at the main dining room that first night of the cruise if you have some version of My Time Dining. But if you have a reservation ahead of time, you can often bypass that long queue and go straight to a table. Another mistake we often see cruisers making is not planning ahead to get to the port. Many cruisers are often traveling rather far distances to get to a cruise departure point. And we can speak from personal experience living in the New England area and often have to fly to Florida or the West Coast or some other region to get on a cruise ship. So we suggest you come in the day before and stay at a local hotel that's close to the cruise port. Coming in early gives you extra time in case there are any travel delays. Plus, you get to start your vacation a day early. We hear horror stories all the time about individuals who try to fly in the morning of their cruise or drive in if they're within driving distance. Save yourself the time and aggravation. Come in the day before. Oftentimes, you can find a hotel that includes parking and transportation to the port, making it a better value and making your cruise boarding day less stressful. Back in the heyday of cruising, the cruise lines used to send you a packet which included luggage tags. Unfortunately, most cruise lines don't send luggage tags to your home anymore, so you'll need to print and adhere your luggage tags to your bags before arriving to the terminal. We suggest printing your luggage tags at home and then adhering them to your luggage before taking your transportation to the ship on embarkation day. we actually use these inexpensive luggage tag holders. They're easy to take on and off, and you can pack them neatly away in your suitcase or your carry-on when flying. Being prepared will certainly make boarding the ship more efficient. If you took our advice and you did your check-in as soon as it became available, odds are you got an early port arrival time. Regardless of that port arrival time, don't get to the terminal too early. We know you're excited about boarding a cruise, but cruise lines have become rather strict regarding port arrival times. It's true, we used to recommend cruisers arrive early, but nowadays, you need to stick to whatever assigned time is on your boarding pass. Showing up a little early is usually okay, but if you have a 1 p.m. boarding time, don't get there at 11 a.m. Most cruise lines will make you wait until closer to your printed boarding time. And trust us, there's nothing more frustrating than standing in line watching other cruisers walk right into the terminal. Regardless, the earliest cruise lines usually start processing cruisers is between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Even then, you'll need to wait in the terminal as most ships are not cleared to accept new passengers until 11, 12 p.m., depending of course on the cruise region and the cruise line. Odds are you and your family will have a few suitcases for a week-long cruise. And one thing that we see cruisers still trying to do is to lug all of their luggage onto the ship. Now, that's wrong for so many reasons. One, your room is most likely not going to be ready, which means you'll need to lug all that luggage around with you for hours before you can store it anywhere. And two, you're just making congestion and clutter for everyone else on the ship. Of course, you can avoid this by simply using the porters outside the terminal. Checking those larger bags with the porters will make it easier for you to maneuver around the ship, as well as relieve a lot of stress. And of course, you'll be reunited with your bags later in the afternoon once your cabin is available. Trust us, we always check our larger bags with the porters, and we haven't lost a bag yet. At the terminal, you'll need to show your boarding pass and your passport to check in. Of course, we recommend using the cruise line's app and having that digital boarding pass, but they need to see your physical passport, so that needs to be handy. And another tip, and one thing we don't often see cruisers doing, is printing the digital boarding passes, or at least taking a screenshot of the digital boarding passes and having them in your camera roll. There might be connectivity issues or Wi-Fi issues once you get to the terminal. And if you can't get the app to load or are having issues with your cell phone, this could delay your check-in process. Having print copies or at least screenshots of your boarding pass can help avoid any of these connectivity issues you might experience. Now, there's nothing we can do about your passport. If you don't have your passport on you or other forms of ID, well, you're probably not going to be allowed on the ship. So double check, triple check, make sure you have the ID and passport with you. It might also help for you to have hard copies of other travel documents, receipts for tours you might have purchased or any of those online packages, plus proof of travel insurance. Having those hard copies available can come in handy if you need them. Now, we mentioned that we never recommend you carry larger bags onto the ship, but that doesn't mean you should go onto the ship empty-handed. What many cruisers forget to do is to bring a well-stocked carry-on bag. While you're leaving your bigger bags to the porters, someone in your travel party should at least have a cruise carry-on bag. And honestly, my wife and I each usually bring a cruise carry-on. I bring an oversized backpack, and she brings a large tote. In these bags, we keep our necessary documents, which you just mentioned, as well as electronics like laptops, cameras, as well as other necessities. Among the items you want to make sure you have in your cruise carry-on include any necessary medication, chargers for your phone, and other essentials like sunglasses, suntan lotion, and even a lanyard for your cruise card. You don't want to forget to pack a bathing suit in that cruise carry-on. That way, you can utilize the pool and some of the other amenities as soon as you board the ship. Many cruise lines also allow guests of legal drinking age to bring 1 bottle per person of wine on board. If you choose to take advantage of this perk, it does need to be in your carry-on bag. If you put in your checked luggage, most likely it'll be confiscated by the cruise line and returned to you at the end of the voyage, which doesn't help out because obviously you want to consume that wine while on the ship. Perhaps one of the most eye-opening days of Cruise Embarkation Day is walking by the prohibited item table. Now, this is the table from the previous cruise. It never ceases to amaze us how many cruises on the previous sailing try to pack prohibited items. Whatever you do, know what your cruise line allows you to bring on board and simply make sure not to pack any of those items that are prohibited. But typically, such banned items include bottles of liquor, firearms, illegal substances, regardless of your state's laws, and other items like fireworks. Most cruise lines also don't allow items like inflatable pool toys, as well as irons, electric tea kettles, steamers, incense, and hot plates. Also, they do not allow any extension cords or power strips. But if you'll need extra outlets, which we do, make sure you have a cruise-approved power adapter that can include some USB, USB-C, as well as power outlets. And you can find a link in the description down below to our Amazon store where we have some of these items identified for you. While boarding a cruise at peak times, the cruise terminal itself can get busy. If there are any delays or queues form, just take a deep breath and relax. Also, please listen to the instructions and directions from the Shoreside staff members. Truthfully, the staff are doing their best to keep everyone in line and keep the process moving as quickly and efficiently as possible. Whether it's the security agents, check-in specialists, or those organizing the boarding groups, please be courteous and patient. Will there be fellow cruisers who are rude, cutting in line, or ignoring directions? Honestly, we see this on every single cruise. Honestly, those individuals will not be on the ship much quicker than you. So just go with the flow. After all, you are on vacation. And please just follow the instructions of the Shoreside staff. Is there any better way to commemorate your cruise vacation than with a welcome aboard photo? Well, we certainly don't pass up the opportunity to have a picture of us snapped in front of the ship. Okay, to be honest, it's really a backdrop of the ship. But still, it's pretty cool. Yes, many cruisers have dozens of these slightly cheesy photos. But that's part of the fun of being on a cruise. Don't worry, if the photo turns out awful, you're under no obligation to purchase it. So take the few minutes in the terminal to stop before boarding the ship and smile for the camera. You're finally on board and you can't wait to see everything. Whatever you do, resist the temptation and avoid going to your stateroom. Most likely, your cabin will not be ready yet. Most cruise lines do not have staterooms ready until between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. And most cruise lines shut the fire doors to the hallways on the passenger decks where most staterooms are. And they usually have signs telling you your stateroom's not ready yet. Still, we see many cruisers try to open these doors or find alternative routes to get to your stateroom. Let the hardworking crew do their job and make up your room. That way you can get to your room as soon as possible. Whatever you do, don't head straight to your cabin. Wait for that announcement from the cruise director that the cabins are available, and then you can head straight there. Once you're on board the ship, don't forget to open the cruise line app and to sign into the ship's intranet. Don't worry, you don't need to purchase the Wi-Fi to use many of the features of your ship's app. One benefit of the app is having access to all the daily activities, events, dining hours, and entertainment offerings, as many ships have actually done away with the traditional print daily magazine. Instead, the cruise line apps put all of that information and more in the palm of your hand. We've sailed on a variety of different cruise lines and cruise ships that have a number of amazing features. Roller coasters, to race cars, to laser tag, escape rooms, you name it, modern cruise ships have a number of innovative features. But you're not the only one who wants to check out these features. Odds are there are thousands of other cruisers on the ship who also want to utilize these facilities. Sadly, there's only a limited number of spaces for those big ticket items. And if you wait too long to try to reserve your time, they might be sold out. Now is the time to make all of these reservations. Sometimes you can do them right in the app once you're on the intranet, or you may have to go to a reservations desk like a box office or another assigned location where activity staff will be available for you to reserve these items. Do this as soon as you board the ship. Believe us, we've talked to many cruisers on a variety of these ships who complain that they weren't able to get reservations, and mostly that's because they waited till day 3 or 4 of the cruise to even attempt to book them. Another pro tip, do the sought-after activities on the first couple of days of your cruise. You may even want to take one of the port days to stay on the ship to utilize these facilities. Now, not all of them may be open on a port day, so you do want to use the app to check daily activities to see which venues might be open, like water slides or escape room or some of the other activities. But if you wait till the middle of the cruise to actually try to book them, odds are they'll be sold out. For many cruisers, there's no longer any excuses for not completing your muster drill. The muster drill is a required safety drill that all cruisers must complete. So whether you're sailed once or 100 times, you must do your muster. Luckily, many cruise lines now employ a virtual muster drill. This is also sometimes referred to as an e-muster. So instead of an in-person, drawn-out safety drill, the new muster consists of 2 simple steps. Whatever you do, don't wait till the last minute to complete your muster. In fact, it should be one of the first things you do once you board the ship. Unfortunately, we still see cruisers rushing down to complete their muster or hear their name being called over the loudspeaker if they haven't completed the steps yet. So, what are these 2 steps? First, cruisers need to watch a safety video, usually in the cruise line's app or in your stateroom television. After watching the video, cruisers can then check in at their assigned assembly station for a short life jacket demo and some safety highlights. This process is efficient, takes only a few minutes, and is a vast improvement to the old system. If your cruise line has reverted back to the traditional muster, then make sure you know when and where to go for that briefing. Then please show up on time, pay attention, and before you know it, you'll be back to your cruise vacation. Sadly, so many cruisers are missing out on the first meal of their cruise by thinking the buffet is the only place you can go. And many of the crew will be ushering hordes of people into this casual dining spot. But you can resist the urge and find alternative options for that boarding day lunch. Most contemporary cruise lines offer a variety of other casual dining options, and usually most of these are open on your cruise boarding day. They might include cafes, pizza parlors, outdoor grills, and even Tex-Mex options. The daily schedule, or the cruise line's app, will indicate the times and locations of restaurants that are open for the first day of your cruise. If you're on a smaller ship or the buffet is the only option, try to go on off-peak times. This way, you can enjoy the rest of the ship while everyone else is eating. Inevitably, it'll be day 3 or 4 of a cruise, and we'll be walking around or heading to an activity, and we'll overhear other cruisers saying, "Oh, well, that's where that bar is located." Or say, "I didn't know there was a laser tag arena." Or, "Oh, this is where the fitness center is." Again, as over planners, it shocks us. So don't be that person. Whether you're crazy like us and have reviewed the deck plans in detail for the weeks leading up to your cruise, or just decide to wing it and show up, Cruise Embarkation Day is a day you go and explore the ship to find where all the venues are. Honestly, even if we've been on a ship before, we actually spend some time on cruise boarding day getting reacquainted with the vessel. The first day of the cruise is the ideal time to figure out the layout of your ship, so you know where to go throughout the week. Our tip is to start at the top of the ship, where most of the outdoor amenities are, and work your way down to the inside areas. At the top, you'll find the pool deck, sports deck, and other amenities. The lower inside decks will be home to venues like the theater, dining room, specialty restaurants, bars, and lounges. On the first day of the cruise, many of these venues will be open for you to check out, even if they're not hosting entertainers. Often you can also take a tour of the spa and the thermal suite, and learn more about upcharge seminars and fitness classes in the gym. If you're traveling with kids, you should also visit the youth center on the ship at some point after boarding. Some large ships have several spots, with activities arranged by age groups. During these open house hours on the first day of your cruise, you can meet the staff, tour the facilities, and learn more about the activities and events occurring during the week. Often there is a separate schedule just for youth programs that details the week's events, so make sure to grab one of those flyers and let your kids know about the options designed just for them on the cruise ship. Even if you're not doing a week-long cruise, say you're just doing a 3 or 4 day cruise, another mistake we see cruisers making is trying to live out of their suitcases. The real estate in all cruise cabins is very limited. So, what we always recommend cruisers do is unpack. During the afternoon of the first day of your cruise, there will be an announcement that the staterooms are ready. And most times, you'll have your luggage that you checked with the porters by early afternoon. Now, we don't want you to miss out on all the fun of your ship, but at some point on that first day of the cruise, we do recommend you unpack. We typically try to unpack before the sail away party, although that's not always possible, especially if the luggage arrives a bit later in the day. Still, we make it a point to get our clothes stored away, items hung, and our luggage under the bed before we retire for the evening. It makes us just feel more organized and ready for the week ahead. With all the excitement and fun of the first day of your cruise, you might be tempted to overdo it. Just remember, there are probably 6 more days of food, drinks, and fun. It is true that you should preload your cruise by doing some of those sought-after activities and events earlier in the week, as we mentioned previously. Things like water slides, go-karts, mini golf, zip lines, or other family-friendly activities get busier as the week goes on. Check out the show, grab a drink or 2 at one of the lounges with live music. Just don't try to do everything on that first night. This is especially true if you've never been on a cruise before or are concerned that you might get motion sickness. If you overindulge too much on the first night of the cruise, the next couple of days might be brutal and you might ruin your vacation. Now that you're all set for cruise boarding day, we need to find you the right cruise ship. Well, lucky for you, right here on YouTube, we have our top picks for the best new cruise ships of 2023. There's some brand new cruise ships from cruise lines like Oceania Cruises to brand new cruise lines like Explorer Journeys, as well as innovative sister ships like Norwegian Viva. Our best new cruise ships of 2023 will help you decide which ship is right for your next cruise vacation.